and we'll go around the table. I'm going to start with you. What do you think the deal looks like at the end of the day?
I think we know what the deal looks like. And there's an irony here, because what the deal looks like is the tax plan that Mitt Romney campaigned on during this presidential election.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
Here's what's going to happen.
Here's what's
going to happen. We're going to raise revenues, not by raising rates. That is off the table. John Boehner said it. I don't believe it's going to happen. I don't believe rates are going to go up a point.
But I also heard him say that it's for discussion. How do they keep 35 at the top end?
We are going to means test deductions. Mitt Romney said, we will put some limit, some number of deductions you can choose. It is going to be some form. It's going to be some form of that, because that is a way.
But the math still doesn't add up to where we got to get to. This is, see, for the first time, we got a target. Well, we kind of do.
Investigating his unfair policies towards Latinos.
What I'm shocked is, how could anybody have been surprised that this was coming? I mean, I didn't, obviously, she's an expert in the field here, but you didn't even have to conduct a poll to know they were in deep trouble. But they seemed that they were caught off guard by the margin.
I
look at you, Mr. Republican.
I know you did. I think our party buried their head in the sand, and they said, look, we know we have a problem. There's nothing we can do about it because our candidate's on the record, as you said, of having made some bold statements, to put it kindly, during the primary. You can't walk those back. So let's not worry about it. Let's worry about other things.
I want to keep this conversation going right on the other side of the break. Stay with us. Early on, this was Obama's to lose. Now this is a toss-up all over again.
Sure. Well, I think sort of the wild card issue in Florida is Medicare. When Paul Ryan was announced on the ticket, all of a sudden you said, "Boy, Florida's in play now for the Obama team, excuse me, because we're going to deploy a tactic that's going to attempt to scare seniors into thinking, well, if you look at Paul Ryan's plan, he essentially wants to privatize, voucherize, whatever you want to call it, the Medicare issue." And I think the Romney campaign has done a good job at combating that. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see another attempt made by the Obama team to try to put the fear of God back into seniors and say, if you elect a Romney-Ryan ticket, your Medicare coverage is in doubt.
I mean, they're talking about the military coming in.
And why wouldn't you call the military in an emergency situation?
Look, Scott's right. The longer this goes on, the less it becomes a private sector problem and the more it becomes a government problem, because now we're bordering on a humanitarian crisis here, right? And who steps in that regard? Nobody's looking to the private sector to be the first line of defense in a humanitarian crisis.
It's getting old very fast here, and just imagine you're one of those people. All right, we take a quick break here.
And I defer to you.
Look, I think the reality here is the United States doesn't have a voter problem. It's got a registration problem. When you look at the number as a percentage of voters who show up to vote on Election Day, we're fairly consistent with the rest of the civilized world. Our problem is in registration. We need to get more Americans registered to vote so they can do it.
Excellent point. But my point to you is, should somebody have to wait online for 13 hours to vote? And then part of the problem is where they had 2 weeks to vote, they then crunched to 8 days, then they try to cut the hours in half. Is that really the message we should be sending the electorate, that, hey, you know what, you're not going to be voting for my side maybe, so I'm going to try and cut the legs out from you?
Rich, nice try. You're not going to be me, you're not going to get me to be the guy to defend not letting people vote. I am all for. I am all for letting everyone who wants to vote.
So now I'll take my time back.
Yeah, go for it. I'll cede to my buddy.
It's outrageous and it's disgusting.
I don't think optically that thing played too well today. You disagree?
It wasn't as apparent to me as evidently that it was.
I mean, I'm right. It was just my snapshot.
But I think if the conventional wisdom coming out of Denver was that Mitt Romney was on his game and he was aggressive in appropriate fashion, I'm not sure he was overly aggressive. Now, to your point, it has come out that so much of the gains that Governor Romney has made since Denver came from women. That was the segment of the electorate that he really moved.
For undecided female voters, there was a 7 or 8 point advantage that the president had. That was narrowed to 1% or even nothing. All largely, as you said, attributed to Denver.
So your question is a good one. If in fact he was too over-aggressive with a female moderator, does that somehow negate the strength that he picked up in the last debate? And the answer is it remains to be seen.
Unless, of course.